In this video, we're going to take a look at how to draw a mouth, and we're going to start with the line where the top lip meets the bottom lip. This will help us make better decisions about where the top lip ends and where the bottom lip ends. So we'll start by making this line. And for most closed mouths, this line is going to be somewhat of a mashed M. It won't typically be a straight line. It'll have a couple of slight humps in the middle, and you might find that the mouth you're drawing has slightly upturned corners. Once this line has been defined, we can look at the outlines for the top part of the lip and the bottom part of the lip. Now these lines are going to be drawn very lightly. In fact, everything we're drawing here at the beginning stages are done very lightly with an HB pencil or a regular number 2 pencil. We're just going to look at these lines and try to define where the top lip ends here. We are going to go back at a later stage and erase parts of these lines because the transition from the lip to the mouth needs to be a smooth one instead of having a hard line there. We'll do the same with the bottom lip, and for most people you'll probably notice that the bottom lip is a bit thicker than the top lip, and it doesn't have those two defined humps in them. Next, we're going to concentrate on what are called cross contour lines. These lines basically flow around the contours or the form of the lip. For the top lip, these lines are going to go outward and then up, and then for the bottom lip, these lines are going to go outward and then down. Conveniently, for most lips, these lines are already visible. We'll start here in the center with the lines that exist on the top lip. We'll pull these lines outward from the center line. These lines are going to be darker and more defined the closer they are to that center line. In other words, the line that we drew at the very beginning stage of drawing these lips. This is because less light reaches those areas, but we'll talk more about light in just a moment. We'll continue the same process with the bottom lips, pulling outward from the center line and then down over the cross contours of the lips. Now that we've got our contours defined, we can start to think about the light source. In this example, our light source is originating from the upper left side. This is going to produce areas that are darker on the right side and closer to that center line where less light is able to penetrate. These are the areas that we're going to slowly build up with darker values. In most cases, the light source will be originating from above. This will make the top lip overall darker in value, and there'll be just a bit of darker value right underneath the bottom lip. The area of most intense highlight will generally exist on the bottom lip. So we'll go ahead and start building up the value on the lips here, making the values dark, but working slowly. We'll start with the HB pencil. There are small areas of highlight that exist all throughout the lips. In order to create these highlighted areas, or these very light white or light valued lines, we're going to create darker values next to them. That will make these lines appear on the drawing. Even though the light source is originating from the left side, there are a few darker values that exist on that side. We'll cautiously and slowly build up the value. It's a good idea to work slowly. You can always make an area darker in value, but making an area lighter is a bit more complex and may require erasing. As you build up the value through shading, your pencil will become duller. Take advantage of this, as a duller pencil will create smoother transitions of value from dark to light. It's also very effective in creating the desired texture that most accurately represents the texture of the lips. Now we'll continue to work on the bottom portion of the lips. Here again, the values are going to be darker closer to that center line. The texture is also a slight bit different on the bottom lips. Some of the contour lines extend further down and are wider lines. When you're drawing lips from live observation or from a photo reference, it may be easy to get overwhelmed with the amount of information that you see in these areas. But instead of trying to copy absolutely every line that you see, focus on the texture that's created in those areas. Think about how you can use value to create the illusion of this texture. This ultimately is what is most important anyway. The bottom portion of the bottom lip does get a little bit darker in value. There are also a few more visible cross-contour lines in these areas. A few horizontal lines are also visible. It's a good idea to include a few of these, but be careful, adding too many of them will take away from the final appearance of the lips. The strongest highlight exists on the left side of the bottom lip. We'll add a bit of darker value to the skin around it to add the necessary contrast. It's darker in value just underneath the bottom lip as well, so we'll make this area a bit darker. Now we'll take a kneaded eraser and lightly dab, pulling up some of the graphite on the upper lip. This will remove that strong line that we created in the beginning stages of the drawing. We want the transition from the lips to the skin to be a smooth one without a visible line. You'll notice that the texture is different from the lips to the skin. We can create a different texture by just changing the directional lines that we make with our pencil. In some cases, the value on the lips will be very similar to the skin tone around them. This is why those directional lines are so important. We'll also add a bit of value to indicate the location of the philtrum, or that little dimple right above the lips. It's darker on the side that's the opposite from the light source, and it's a little bit lighter on the side that's facing the light source. We'll also continue to add subtle changes in value in the skin and the face around the lips. Since this is not a direct straight-on view of the lips, part of the side of the face is visible here. We'll create a soft line by creating darker values in this area. We'll continue to create the necessary values and texture of the skin underneath the lips. Now we're going to use a softer pencil. I'm using a General's Layout pencil, which is about equivalent to a 4B pencil. We're going to go in and start making some of the values darker. This will increase the contrast, bringing the range of value to a complete one, where we have the darkest darks, lightest lights, and the midtones in between. Adding marks with this pencil will also produce a variety of textures, as the marks produced by this pencil are different than those produced by a number 2 pencil. To produce a smooth gradation between values, small circles are made with this pencil. We'll continue to push the darker values, especially in the areas that are closer to that center line. A blending stomp is used in selected areas to further push the range of texture. As the graphite is moved around on the surface, still thought is given to the cross contour lines. We'll do the same thing with a pencil eraser. In this case, this is basically an eraser encased in a pencil. We can sharpen it to a sharp tip to make precise marks. Next, an HP pencil is used to tone down some of the areas where the contrast is too strong. This also makes these areas a bit darker in value. In this case, the right-hand side of the lips are overall darker in value, since the light source is originating from the left side. Now we'll return back to the softer graphite to push the darker values a bit further, especially along that center line. We'll make the corner of the mouth a bit darker, as well as the area just underneath the lips. This will make the lips feel like they protrude out further. And then our drawing is complete. I hope you found this video helpful to you in your own endeavors with drawing lips.